Well, the abortion discussion continued at the break. We're going to continue that now. No, we're not. We're actually not going to. We're not going to do that. Bill Hemmer had an exclusive interview with the Attorney General in El Salvador. One of the parts we didn't hear earlier.
If he were the president, I think he would view it as a witch hunt and a hoax, because at the time he was saying he was innocent and that he was being falsely accused. And that's, if you're falsely accused, you would think that something was a witch hunt. I have to say, you know, when you step back and look at this, two and a half years of his administration, 3 years of Trump, you know, the campaign and then the first part of his administration, he has been hammered for something, you know, for allegedly conspiring with the Russians. And that, we now know, that was simply false. I think if I had been falsely accused, I'd be comfortable saying it was a witch hunt.
It was a fascinating interview. Says he's going to get to the bottom of the beginning of the investigation. Quick thoughts on that before winners and losers. Jonah?
I think he should get to the bottom of the investigation to clear the air. There are lots of people who had theories about the Russia stuff. There are lots of people who have theories about the launching the investigation. Let's just get the facts out.
I agree 100% with that. Just put it all out there and let the American people decide, left or right.
Bill Clinton wasn't falsely accused, and he called the Starr investigation a witch hunt, and he actually did it. So, you know, just, but of course, if you were accused of a crime, and then someone spent millions of dollars and 2 years of your life investigating it, you'd be pretty upset about it, and you'd call it a witch hunt.
All right, you can see that full interview online. Bill Hemmer did. It was great. Winners and losers. Winner first.
My winners are the people of New York City, because they're not going to have to put up with Bill de Blasio nearly as much. My losers are the people of Iowa, who will.
As he's running for president now. All right, Leslie.
Can I flip it?
Yeah.
Okay. My loser is, no surprise, Alabama, because they're going to put doctors away longer than they will rapists in the case of rape. My winner is Grumpy Cat. I know Grumpy Cat has gone on to a better place, but millions of followers on social media and has 8 more lives to come.
Oh, wow. Grumpy Cat is gone. Okay.
My loser is Beto O'Rourke, who's running the Seinfeld of campaigns, a campaign about nothing. And if you want to get, you're not getting taken seriously or falling in the polls, what do? Live stream your haircut and talk about your ear hair. Karen Tumulty suggested we better watch out when his colonoscopy comes around.
The ear hair was really disconcerting.
Yes,
it really
was.
Really was.
Very gross.
You guys were really lightning there. Well, we skipped over Iran. I know you had something to say about Iran.
Yes, which is...
Oh, wait, you have a winner.
I have a winner.
Oh, my bad.
No, that's all right.
Iran.
My winner is not Iran. My winner is Gene Simmons of KISS, who came to the Pentagon this week as a part of the Know Your Military initiative to connect people with the United States military. He told a very moving story, and that's me taking my kids to a KISS concert.
Wow, that's equally disconcerting.
Hopefully not equally.
That's Jonah Goldberg.
But he talked
That's Jonah Goldberg.
There you go. That's Jonah. Good looking for you. But
wow.
he talked about his mother, who's a Holocaust survivor, who brought him here to America, and he said they came from Israel, but this is the real promised land. He's a real patriot.
There we go. We'll save Iran for a different day. It was much better with KISS. KISS was much better.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dana Perino, along with Dagan McDowell, Juan Williams, Jesse Waters, and Greg Gutfeld. It's 5 o'clock in New York City, and this is The 5. Major revelations from Attorney General William Barr about the investigation into how the Russia probe started. In his first interview since the Mueller report was released, Barr saying he's not satisfied with the early answers he's getting on allegations of Trump campaign spying.
I've been trying to get answers to questions, and I found that a lot of the answers have been inadequate, and I've also found that some of the explanations I've gotten don't hang together. So in a sense, I have more questions today than I did when I first started. So I think people have to find out what the government was doing during that period. If we're worried about foreign influence, for the very same reason, we should be worried about whether government officials abuse their power and put their thumb on the scale. And so I'm not saying that happened, but I'm saying that we have to look at that.
Barr also commenting on the Steele dossier.
It's a very unusual situation to have opposition research like that, especially one that on its face had a number of clear mistakes and a somewhat jejune analysis, and to use that to conduct counterintelligence against the American political campaign is would be a strange development. I'm not sure what role it played, but that's something we have to look at.
So, Greg, I have a theory. Oh, you don't want me to go to you first?
Oh, go ahead.
Okay. So my theory
Get it over
is
with.
that if you were in the Obama administration at the time of the 2016 election, and you were aware of Russian interference and you were somehow involved, it would seem to me that you would welcome an investigation into the investigation.
Absolutely.
What do you think of that theory?
Absolutely. But you may have heard a phrase that I coined recently. What's good for the goose is good.
For the gander?
No, for my Uncle Steve.
Oh.
What's good for the goose is good for my Uncle Steve. He lives
How's
in the
he
basement.
doing, by the way?
Not well. I feed him lettuce and insects.
Oh.
Well, he's like a goose. The Dems and the media have spent 2 years doing this. You think that they're just going to let it go now? They're going to come. That now this is revenge time. This is like evening the score. And you can use the same argument. You could say, like, we know that the Russians tried to collude. We know that the Russians tried to meddle. Now we need to know how it was done and who helped them. It's the same argument in reverse. And the dossier, the great dossier, it's like a bad batch of egg salad served at the buffet, and everyone who took a taste got food poisoning. It's the food poisoning of the news. If that's why CNN is so blue in the face all the time, because they took the biggest helping.
That's why if someone gave you food poisoning, you'd be mad at them.
Right.
But CNN's not mad. And to your point, if you were lied to by the Obama intelligence officials about collusion for 2 years and they humiliated you, you got a nice ratings bump, but then at the end they humiliated you, the ratings are taking a nosedive. Wouldn't you want to know why and how you were lied to? It seems like they have no interest in finding out what went wrong with the collusion hoax, but they don't care. Now, to your point about the Steele dossier and the FISA warrant, we're learning a lot more and more about that. So the whole FISA warrant on Carter Page looks like it was based off the Steele dossier. Major red flag in the Steele dossier, it said that they were running this operation through Carter Page out of the Russian embassy in Miami. There's no Russian embassy in Miami. Anyone that could look at that would know immediately that's a red flag.
Is there a consulate office?
No, in Tampa. Not even in Miami. So they also said the other two reasons they cited for the warrant was 2 meetings that Carter Page had with these Russian oligarchs to hatch this plot. Both meetings never happened. And then they used a Yahoo News article. Then you have Papadopoulos. We're now learning that this is not really what started off the entire investigation, and that's going to come out. He never even spoke to a Russian, and we have now text messages between Strzok and Page. Strzok and Page called Mifsud, the guy that started this whole thing, their guy. Now, if he's a Russian agent, how is he their guy? Very, very suspicious.
Juan, if I can continue on with my theory. So if you're Hillary Clinton and you really believe that this election was stolen from you because the Russians interfered, wouldn't you also want it to be revealed, like if you believe that that's true and you believe that the Obama administration did the right thing, wouldn't it be a good thing for her argument for the people to be able to see what the origins of the investigation were?
Right, but that's not what's going on here, Dana. What's going on is an investigation of the investigators as punishment coming from an administration that is overwhelmingly political. I mean, right now, really, they're distracting from the real news with all of this silliness, because the real news is that we're going to soon see transcripts of what Michael Flynn and Michael Flynn's lawyer were saying to Trump's lawyers, and we'll see just how much they were trying to stop this investigation. But the second thing to say here is, listening to Bill Barr, I mean, he has no reason to do anything, but what he says is, you know what, let's not talk about the spying. I know I said that earlier. What about what happened between the time Trump was elected and the time he takes office? Let's go and look at what happened in terms of FBI and intelligence agencies talking to Trump at Trump Tower. Did they leak something? He just changes the game time and again.
And that's adding things to look at.
That's why when you look at the Fox News poll that came out yesterday, the Fox News poll says 45% of Americans believe that Barr is covering up for Trump and not being transparent. And also, they give him a negative rating for how he handled the Mueller report. 44% say they don't approve of what he's done with the Mueller report. Only 35%.
That feels like
The media destroyed the
If that makes you feel better, but it has no effect on anything.
That's the truth. The truth. In other words,
it's a poll.
The American people are not being hoodwinked by a guy who is now Trump's lawyer. This is what Trump wished for all along. He wanted an attorney general who would be his consigliere,
Like his
and that's what he's
wingman,
got.
like Holder was for Obama.
No, not
So,
like
no,
Holder.
wait.
Holder never
You know
went to
what's
this
happening
level.
right now? The Russian story is now into its summer reruns. That's what's happening. I saw it on the first run. I don't need to see it again. I know what this Flynn story is about. I know all that crap. That's because the economy's going well. The world's going it's peaceful, it's prosperous, everything's fine. They have to keep doing the Russian story.
Yeah, just
Can I add
don't look.
one other
People, don't
angle
look,
here?
says Greg. Don't look here. Look
No, I don't
over
care.
there.
Look all you want.
Yeah, we already looked for 2 years. Now we're looking in
This
the
is
other
what
direction.
The White House talking point is this investigation is done. No obstruction, no collusion. Jerry Nadler has said to them repeatedly.
I have a point about
this
that.
is about
Can you please-
preventing the Russians from doing it again.
Guys, can we please get Dagan in? But first, can we hear the Attorney General about this idea about the documents in contempt?
That's part of the usual game, political circus that's being played out. It doesn't surprise me.
The House Speaker, Nancy Pelosi, she believes you lied under oath. What do you think of that charge?
Well, I think it's a laughable charge, and I think it's largely being made to try to discredit me, partly because they may be concerned about the outcome of a review of what happened during the election.
Dagan.
They're trying to discredit him because they're worried, people who worked in the Obama administration, in the FBI, and in the CIA and the intelligence community, they're worried, whether it's Brennan or Comey or even subordinates of both of them. They're worried about what Bill Barr and John Durham and the Inspector General Michael Horowitz are going to find. It's not silliness, Juan, if there was corruption. It's not silliness if there was an abuse of power. And you know why Hillary Clinton is being quiet about this? Because the DNC and Hillary Clinton's campaign paid for that dossier, what could be disinformation by Russia, which was, if you read the whole Mueller report basically discredits big elements that were in that dossier. And I just want to point this out. I point it out all the time. Jim Comey looked at Brett Baer in the spring of last year and said, I can't definitively say I know that the sealed dossier was paid for by the DNC and the Clinton campaign. He was running the FBI. They got a warrant on an American citizen to spy on him, and he didn't know that. That is balderdash and hogwash, and we all know it. And by the way, I also read that poll, Juan, and here's what people said. A majority, 58% think it is at least somewhat likely the FBI broke the law when it started investigating the Trump campaign. Yeah. The millions of Americans who don't trust what went on in intelligence and the FBI under the Obama administration, they deserve answers. No. And there's nothing wrong with a thorough look at it because, again, it disrupts democracy in this country.
They've had a thorough look. What we're doing now is we're trying to punish the investigators.
Mueller didn't look at it. Mueller didn't look at it.
So
Bill Barr said that. I read the whole Mueller report. He did not look at the investigators and the predicate of that investigation.
You don't need Mueller. Pick up a newspaper. It'll tell you how this started.
Yeah, the press that lied to us for 3 years about Russia.
Yeah, get out of town.
Liars.
All right.
You know what? I'll save it for another.
Yes.